Hi folks, this is Roger from Offgrid Vanlife, and today we're going to talk about shunts in general, and then we're going to do a deep dive on the JUNTEK shunt, and I'm going to be talking about the Victron SmartShunt to a degree as well. In the modern day and age, your electrical system is becoming more and more important. So if you look at our van, we run obviously the usual smattering of lights and cell phone chargers and tablet chargers and laptop chargers and that sort of thing. We also have a really nice coffee machine, an espresso coffee machine, and we love our coffee. It's got to be good coffee. We think of getting a Sage Barista Pro and seeing if that'll fit in the van somewhere, because that's just the bee's knees. But then we would need to know even more about the power. And we have just changed our absorption fridge to a compressor fridge, way more efficient and vastly superior in a number of ways. But with all of that, you need to know what your battery is doing. So we started investigating all of the shunts that we could come up with that are a reasonable price. You can see in front of me we've got a bunch of things here. So let's start with the, if you like, the cheap things that we have tried and thrown out. So let's start with these shunts first. If you zoom right in here, this is a very popular one that people buy off the internet all over the show. Absolutely dirt cheap. They have these little displays that are attached with these to the shunt, we see, with these little wires, and a very simple arrangement. I won't even turn it on and connect it up because we found these to be absolutely rubbish. So in my opinion, throw all of them away. If you've bought one, tough luck. These things burn out for nothing. They are very inaccurate and very unstable, and they just act in such a weird way. So in my opinion, absolutely not worth a penny to buy these cheap shunts, and they cost about $20, £20, sometimes even less. I think I've seen them for as low as about 15 and even 10 pounds. So very cheap, very ineffective, absolutely flooded on AliExpress and Banggood and all those sort of sites. We tried a Hall effect sensor. In fact, we tried two of them, but anyway. So we tried this Hall effect sensor, and with a little, in this case it has a wireless display, so it we thought that's great. You have a wireless display some distance away from the main sending unit, and that should be really great. The problem with this was, quite frankly, inaccurate. So this Hall effect sensor itself, the sensor itself, is, in my opinion, quite inaccurate. So I don't know if you can see some of the details of it. I can't even remember the website we bought it from, but you can see some details there and some details there, and unfortunately my recommendation is avoid this if you can. So it looks great in principle, nice wireless display. In practice, not accurate. This was even worse. This was another Hall effect sensor that we tried, and they give you two cables, a short one and a much slightly longer one. So not wireless or anything, but this display very, very similar to these cheap shunts. As you can see, they're not too dissimilar, and in my opinion, very inaccurate and not worth the effort of using. This would give you a rough idea, but I think it was around about a 5% out or something like that. So in my opinion, not very good, not very accurate. We tried this, which is a shunt based Coulomb counter, and you can see it's identical display to that, really exact same display, and this was also not that accurate, and it's a very short cable, so you're tied with having this thing very close to the shunt. That's not of much use to you. So all 4 of these ones here we would not recommend. Just not good enough. Now let's get to the ones that we quite like. Let's start with the best one of the lot, which was the Victron SmartShunt. This to a certain extent is the one by which all should be measured. It is a really good bit of kit. It's very simple. You just attach this your negative line through here, and they mark it very clearly. This one goes to your battery, this one goes to your system, and you give it some positive here, and you can plug in other things and mix this with other Victron equipment. Disadvantage out the box is that you use your mobile device or your cell phone or tablet to see what this is telling you. And you can buy other kit to connect other displays, but basically out the box you have to use your mobile device, and that means that you have to load up an app, go to the device on the app, wait for it to synchronize, and then it finally tells you. So it's quite fiddly. You can do it anywhere around your van. That's the advantage. You can be doing it sitting in the front or the back or wherever. You can get to what this is telling you. So advantage in some ways and a disadvantage in another way, but this is very accurate, very good bit of kit. Let's come to another one which is very popular on the internet. This is the Lindy shunt. So it's a shunt with a display on a cable. As you can see, the cable is about 1 meter or so, so you can have the display 1 meter away from the shunt. So this typically you'd put right at the battery, and this roughly 1 meter away. It does tie your hands as to where this thing goes, because yes, you can extend this. We found it impossible to find the right extension cable. So I guess in theory you can extend it. In practice, good luck finding a shielded cable that you can use. You probably have to make up your own, and you'd struggle to actually find these connectors in the first place. But theoretically you can extend this by a few meters and place the display in a better location. But we would recommend this. We think it is accurate. We have tested it. It's accurate. It's just inconvenient as to where you can mount this thing, and generally you'd have to probably drill quite a big hole somewhere to mount this onto. Right, that brings us to the JUNTEKs. So here is a 200 amp, still pretty much in the box, a JUNTEK, and this is a 50 amp. It's also a JUNTEK, but for some reason they have put JUNTEK on the display. This is a fully wireless shunt, so mount this near your battery and mount this wherever the wireless signal can get to. I have to say we absolutely loved the first 200 amp JUNTEK that we bought, and unfortunately I had to send it off to somebody in a battery that I had promised, and I'm missing my 200 amp JUNTEKs, because we then bought 20 or 40 of these 200 amp JUNTEKs, and we have a major problem with them, which I'm going to take you through. Basically this makes this one, the 200 amp JUNTEK, unusable. Unfortunately I have to put them in the junk status of all the rest of these, because they have a fundamental error in them, which I will actually take you through in a lot of detail because it's quite interesting. This 50 amp JUNTEK I would highly recommend. They are surprisingly accurate. They're within 2% of this, and we've tested this against various other meters and against the BMSs and against other testers and things like that. This is surprisingly accurate, and these are for the most part within 1.5% of these. So yeah, not absolutely accurate, but if all you're wanting to know is, you know, roughly how many percent of my battery, or how much percent of my battery is available, this is very good. Problem with this one here, it's only, you can see the one bar there, it's only 50 amps, but this you can mount anywhere in the vehicle. Look at it at a glance and it shows you, I find this way more convenient than loading up a mobile app. Going to this, the number of times I need to see when I'm driving. Well, you shouldn't be doing that when you're driving anyway, but usually when I want to know I'm in the habitation area, and I just glance at this and it tells me what. I have one of these mounted to measure what my compressor fridge uses, just out of interest, and because I want to know on the next trip practically how much of your battery is going to be used up by your fridge on an average trip, opening the fridge an average number of times and loading it and what have you. So highly recommended here. Unfortunately, the 200 JUNTEKs have introduced an error which the factory is refusing to help us with. The manufacturer, that is, won't help us, and we have actually we've raised a dispute with the seller that we bought this whole big batch from on Alibaba. The dispute is still ongoing, but the seller is, I think, not understanding. We keep on explaining, and we keep on explaining, and we keep on explaining, and the seller is basically skirting around the issue. A fundamental bug in there, which we will show you. So stay tuned, and we'll start taking you through the finer details of these two shunts.